Did you know that the green bean casserole that exists today is because of U.S. relations with Iran back in the 1950s? Casseroles really started gaining traction in the early 20th century around the Depression because they were cheap and easy to make. And even then, there were a lot of other varieties of green bean casserole. But the version that we're all familiar with today came about because of U.S. interference with Iranian politics, as well as the special relationship between corporations and journalism back in the 50s. In 1955, Cecily Brownstone, the food editor for the Associated Press, attended a press dinner at a citrus magnate's house in Florida. Earlier that year, the Shah and Queen of Iran visited the citrus magnate's home on a visit to the US. The security was so intense during that visit that the Shah and the Queen asked to dine in a separate room, and they proceeded to ask a lot of questions about everything they ate. At this press dinner, the wife of this citrus magnate was telling this group of journalists a story about this green bean dish that the Queen of Iran, Queen Soraya, loved, and was asking all of these questions of the butler. And at this point, the butler had been really overwhelmed by all of the questions about all of the dishes and said, "I don't know, lady, it's beans and stuff." And Brownstone, the food editor for the Associated Press, really loved that story and needed a recipe to go along with it. As was customary at the time, Brownstone went to the Campbell's Soup home economics department to get a recipe developed for this beans and stuff. Dorcas Riley was one of the first people that was hired by the Campbell's home ec department. And it was created to develop recipes and really get people to use more Campbell's soup, not as a soup, but as an ingredient in other dishes. When Campbell's was approached by the Associated Press to develop this recipe, the intention behind it was really to create a dish that was reminiscent of the dish that was served to the Queen of Iran, but that used items that Americans would typically have around. So that meant frozen green beans and canned cream of mushroom soup. The article, entitled "Beans Fit for an Iranian Queen," was released in April of 1955, yet nowhere did it mention Campbell's involvement in the recipe, and it wasn't even around Thanksgiving. It was meant to be an easy weeknight side dish. But by November 1959, green bean casserole was already considered a popular treatment for green beans for Thanksgiving time. And by the mid-60s, Campbell's had added the recipe for green bean bake to their labels, and it really catapulted the dish to popularity. How it became a Thanksgiving dish, we're not really sure. But according to culinary historian Laura Shapiro, Thanksgiving isn't about elegance, it's about America. Green bean casserole appeals to a deeply characteristic streak in our national appetite, a sensibility that brings us back to packaged foods even when we think we've cut the ties.